go home territory on the hardwood. It is March. It is exciting. Bracketology. Where's KU? Where's K-State going to go? Can't wait to get into all of this coming up on this edition of Mic'd Up. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Jake Lamont along with Fulton Caster. You can hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429, outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on the good old interwebs. Check us out on Twitter at SportsOn580, if Twitter is actually working at this point.
For now it is.
There we go. Shoot us a tweet. Let us know your thoughts. Check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in Sports on 580. That's Sports on 580. Click the subscribe button. Very simple. Check us out on our website, 580www.com. Lots to discuss on this Monday. We'll talk Big 12 hoops. We'll get into some Royals. That is the Cactus leading 9-2 Kansas City Royals. They're in action today. Brady Singer towing the bump today, which will probably be his final time.
Yeah, as the World Baseball Classic, it begins on Wednesday.
Yeah.
The benefit for Team USA members is they're around their pools in Phoenix. So that's why a lot of them don't have to leave earlier like other teams. You know, Team Japan, all their players had to leave way earlier because they had to fly all the way to Japan. They'll play their rounds in, I believe, Tokyo. But yeah, the USA team, their big benefit is if you play for Team USA, just chill until a couple days before, then all you go over to Phoenix.
Well, some people, in the grapefruit, they got to fly from Florida.
Well, that's fair. If you're in the Grapefruit League,
Yeah.
you got to change things up. I forgot not everyone plays in the great state of Arizona.
Yeah.
Some of those losers play in the Grapefruit League.
Yeah. Just imagine if the Royals were in the Grapefruit League.
I'd be so disappointed.
11-0. Book it.
Be so disappointed if they played in that
League
bum league.
Where it's at.
Yeah. Cactus League purists, stand up.
Yes. We'll talk with RJ Anderson. We will get to the big free agent news today. Whoo, boy. Derek Carr getting paid again. Heading to the Big Easy. That is right. New Orleans has signed Derek Carr. Will go around the NFL. Offseason checklist for the Chiefs. It's starting to get a little bit more kind of ironed out, at least reported, what the Chiefs are going to do. We will get to that coming up today as well. So we start things off. It is tournament time. Big 12 tournament.
Best time of the year.
And if you have a chance to go to the Big 12 tournament, man, go to every damn session. Like if this is your weekend with your buddies or you got time, man, Thursday and Friday are the days that you need to go. You want to talk about some terrific games? KU is the 1 seed, and they could possibly take on West Virginia in a quarterfinal. West Virginia is now locked in. They might get to a 9 seed potentially. That's how good this league is. Texas will take on either Oklahoma State or Oklahoma. K-State will take on TCU. Baylor taking on Iowa State. I mean, that could be some outstanding basketball. It could be Baylor, Iowa State, KU, West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma State, and then K-State versus TCU. Tremendous action in Kansas City coming up this week. To me, right now, there are 2 questions that affect the Sunflower schools. One, what does KU have to do to be the number 1 seed and be in the Midwest region? They were a buzzer beater away from locking that up against Memphis yesterday. Houston hits a shot at the buzzer to beat Memphis. If Memphis would have won that, as long as KU gets to the semifinals, they're the number 1 team in the Midwest. But Houston got the win. And so they still could be above KU. Now, some bracketology folks already have KU above Houston despite losing to Texas. I don't quite understand that. But the question for KU is, will they be in Kansas City? They are for sure going to be in Des Moines. They are for sure a number 1 seed. But will they get the Midwest? Will they leapfrog Houston? I'm assuming Houston put down Kansas City as their number 1 destination. It will either be Houston or KU as the overall number 1 because Alabama lost this weekend.
Again.
And the only way Alabama gets the overall number 1 to me is if they win the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, they've got a chance. If they don't win the SEC, Alabama will not be the overall number 1. Houston has to win the American tournament.
Yes.
If Houston loses the American tournament,
they can kiss their number 1 overall seed hopes goodbye. The prize still sit on the 1 line.
Yeah, they're still the 1, but they won't get the Midwest.
No, they will not. Kiss it goodbye.
They'll have to either go to Vegas, whichever their number 2 is, or they'll go to Louisville. KU, to me, if they win it, they are the overall number 1, no questions asked. If KU gets to the finals and Houston wins the American, because Houston has to go, they have to run the rack in order to get the overall number 1.
Yeah.
And to be in Kansas City. If KU beats West Virginia and then they beat Baylor, although Baylor's going to play Iowa State again, and Iowa State went on the road to Baylor and just absolutely smacked them around.
Yeah, which was weird.
Let's say they play Baylor. So if KU beats West Virginia and Baylor, and they're in the title game, that might be enough right there to get it done. Now, if KU wins it all, no questions asked. That's why I do think there is still something to play for KU. And Houston has no room for error. That's one big question right now that this week determines for KU. That's important. The biggest question for K-State, what do they have to do to play in Des Moines? Because if they don't play in Des Moines, I would assume that they're going to go to Denver. Des Moines is 4.5 hours away from Manhattan. Denver is 7 hours away from Manhattan. Now, they'd fly to Denver. I don't know if they'd fly to Des Moines. I wouldn't think so, but I have no idea. They have so much money that they charter flights to Stillwater, which is crazy to me. Remember during COVID, it was like, we don't have any money. Yeah, that was a lie, folks. Hopefully you saw through that. But where does K-State end up? If K-State beats TCU, do they get to the 2 line? Because right now, K-State is the 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
If they beat TCU, are they going to stay on a 2 line or a 2 line? If they lose to TCU, they're probably a 3.
Yeah.
I don't think they're falling to a 4, so I think K-State is a 3 seed if they lose to TCU. Now, TCU just got smacked by Oklahoma. The Big 12 is hard, folks.
It's a very tough conference.
Oklahoma, who looked absolutely awful against K-State, smacked TCU around. Wild. I think if K-State beats TCU, they're in Des Moines. I think if they lose to TCU, there's a chance they go to Denver.
No.
Which is not terrible. I mean, Western Kansas people would probably love it because then they can drive to Denver.
Yeah.
Western Kansas people are not afraid of a 4-hour drive. They do it every other weekend probably. So that to me is it for KU and K-State. Number 1, can KU get the number 1 overall in the Midwest and play in Kansas City? Go Des Moines, Kansas City. K-State, do you get a 3 or do you get a 2? And where do you play? Those are the biggest questions for Kansas State. For KU over the weekend, hopefully you listened to us because we told you.
Yeah, I could have made you some serious money because I was right. I told you all when KU has nothing to play for to end the regular season, they come out flat. It is a guarantee.
I took your advice.
And I'm glad you made some money.
Well, I did, but then I also lost some money because I didn't think that TCU would go on the road and just look absolutely awful.
That's fair.
But no, I did those separately, and then I put together a little Big 12 parlay that did not hit, thanks TCU. But no, that's what occurs.
Yeah.
KU didn't have the grind.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you agree with that? They just didn't have the. And Texas played well, but I also think the reason why Texas played well is because KU wasn't locked down, drag out, we fighting for everything type of game.
It wasn't the locked in 100% Kansas team. And I get, because there were some KU fans, on the good old internet who were a little, upset and taking the loss hard. Man, I didn't even watch a minute of that game, partly because I was busy during most of the game. And then when I was, headed home, it was like 5 minutes left. And KU was done with like 15, so I didn't put it on. But it didn't matter. And that, is the big thing to take away from it. That loss means nothing in the grand scheme of things for Kansas and how you should also perceive this Kansas team.
I don't think it because if they beat Texas, they would be the overall number one as long as they
no questions asked
beat West Virginia or whoever they play.
Yeah,
like that was it. So to say that there wasn't anything to play for, I think is wrong.
For what Kansas usually focuses on. There really wasn't. Because,
correct, the Big 12.
Would they like the number one overall seed? Of course they would. Kansas knew they had a 1 seed.
Yeah.
And they really don't care where they go. They truly don't. Over the year, they don't massively care.
I think
they care a bit.
If you gave Bill Self the
what do you
truth
say?
serum, I think he'd say,
he probably would. He would say he would prefer Kansas City.
Yeah.
But is he going to scratch and claw and fight and do everything in his power to make sure no matter what they get Kansas City? No. He knows they can win without it.
Well, I mean, he'll say, well, sometimes it's good to get away. Then you're all on your own.
That coach speak is the definite lie. So, I think there was a tiny bit, but there's nothing massively important. No. There's not a championship on the line, which is what this team prides itself on. So, my big thing when it comes to Kansas specifically, would it be nice for them not to have these games where they just are so not locked in at the end of the year when they have everything wrapped up? Of course. It'd be nice. It's also a very long regular season and what has been historically tough of a conference.
And Texas is good.
And Texas is a good team. And winning on the road has been hard all year.
And winning on the road is difficult. So, no.
It's whatever. I have never felt less emotion after a KU loss. I was just like, oh, well, on to Kansas City.
What's more important is that you hope, and it's 2 games, and some people are like, Grady Dick needs to get out of this funk that he's in. It's a 2-game funk.
Yeah.
Because the game against West Virginia, I don't know if people realize this, he went 5 of 8 from deep. So I wouldn't consider that a funk.
Nope.
He is 2 of his last 10. He did not.
Tiny little funk.
He played awful against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And then the game against Texas wasn't great. He scored 6 points. Had 2 rebounds. So
half the team wasn't great against Texas.
Yeah. So and Texas played well.
Yeah, Texas played well. Give them credit.
Texas played well.
Yeah.
For K-State, for me, winning on the road is hard.
Yes.
And again, against a team that I don't want to say was desperate.
Oh, I would use that word. And I think that's the right word with West Virginia.
I don't think they were desperate. They weren't in Oklahoma State territory where they were desperate. I think it was more so if you win, you are golden.
Yeah.
If you lose, you still beat Oklahoma State. And then, you've got another win there. But West Virginia now, they played like they needed to get that win, and they knew it. If this was our season came down to 1 game at home, and they came out and they played their, just rough and tumble type of basketball. And when Stevenson gets going, they can be difficult. K-State had the turnover bug early, 19 points off turnovers for West Virginia. And without Desi Sills, who is their calming guard along with Marquise Noel, not having Desi Sills is a big deal, but playing on the road is hard. Some people who are all concerned about K-State, that wasn't a good showing. Do you realize how much different playing at West Virginia against West Virginia is than playing against, Creighton or Kentucky in Des Moines? It is completely different. Completely different.
It's massively different. And because I had a friend of mine who's a K-State grad and a K-State fan text me, and he was kind of, worried about what was going on.
I'm not worried at all.
And I mainly texted him, was like, dude, your team's good again. You have these nights near the end of the year. Brush it off. Winning on the road is hard. Move on. And he was like, okay, you're right.
Yes,
I'm like, exactly. Like,
not a big deal.
K-State fans, welcome to this level of being good again. I'm happy you're back. This is what it is. Sometimes you have a dud to end the year, and it just happens with all these other things around it. They'll be fine. I think they rattle off a win or two in Kansas City, and then they're going to be – I still think they're a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. I think they make the Sweet 16 or even the Elite Eight. I think they'll make it.
The All Big 12 team came out. Jalen Wilson, unanimous player of the year.
That's my guy right there.
Not a surprise there. I do question coaches. I really do. And this makes me wonder how many of these coaches are putting who they think are the best 5 players, or are they putting players on specific teams so that their players will look better? Because Jalen Wilson and Flagler were unanimous first team, but for some stupid reason, they thought there were 5 other better players than Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel in the Big 12 this year. And
which is just factually incorrect.
I don't know what the hell those coaches are watching. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, give me who had a better year. Marquise Noel led the Big 12 in scoring, steals, free throw percentage, and assists. Yeah. And you don't think he's one of the 5 best players in the league? You're a joke. You are a joke if you did not vote Marquise Noel first team All Big 12. Same thing with Keontae Johnson. Yeah. He was, I think, 3rd in the league in scoring and 3rd in the league in rebounding or something like that. Who are you putting above Keontae Johnson? Grady Dick? No.
I love Grady. Grady got his spot, deservedly so, just on freshman team.
Like,
then whatever else.
Who are you going to put above him?
Yeah.
Like, was it Gabe Kalsher? Get out of here with that. Stop it. Ridiculous.
No, I agree there. But they ended up getting on, which is still deservedly so. Marquise and Keontae both got first team on Big 12. And shout out Marquise getting named to the all-defensive team, too.
Yep. Well, he should be unanimous. He leads the league in scoring or the steals. Come on.
Don't disagree.
Coming up, we'll get our weekend takeaways and fails, and then we're going to talk all things baseball with RJ Anderson. My weekend's takeaways and fails. It's a rite of passage. I have to do this. Congratulations, NCAA Division II regionalization. We just had the MIAA tournament. Awesome. And now we're going to have another MIAA tournament. There were 4 teams that made the women's regional, and 2 of them are going to play each other. There could have been 6 teams in the MIAA on the women's side that would have made an NCAA tournament. Congratulations, 2 teams who might be the 2 best teams in the country just played in the MIAA championship, Central Oklahoma and Washburn. And I guarantee you Central Oklahoma would be a 1 seed in almost every other region, or at worst a 2 seed. But they're a 3 seed in the Central region, and they have no chance of getting out of the Elite 8 because Northwest is going to beat them. So congratulations, Division II. Your tournament is absolute garbage.
It continues to be so.
Let's
Maybe one day it'll change. Probably not.
Let's find regionalization and get with the 21st century. How about we find a different way to make this thing work? Also, by the way, Missouri Western, they had 24 wins this year on the women's side. They're not in the tournament. They finished 3rd in this league, and they didn't make the NCAA tournament because they lost head-to-head or they tied with Pittsburgh State, and Pittsburgh State got the advantage. Same thing with Southern, who finished behind them in the standings, but beat them head-to-head. They're the 3 seed.
It's an entirely backward system.
It is just so stupid, and I wish the MIAA would fight for their teams. I really, really do.
Would be nice,
because you'd have like 9 teams in there. Coming up, we're going to talk all things baseball with RJ Anderson. O'clock hour, we will get to the latest NFL news, the Combine. Deuce Vaughn can say he is he's a record holder. We'll get to that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk our Chiefs checklist as well. The Royals are in action today. The Royals, they're just mowing people down, baby. 9-2, the Kansas City Royals leading the Cactus League. Brady Singer on the bump this afternoon, 2 o'clock with the start time against Arizona. We're going to talk all things baseball right now. We bring in RJ Anderson. You can follow him on Twitter at R_J_Anderson. He covers baseball for CBS Sports. RJ, first question I've got for you, it's a simple one. Which of the new rules has you most intrigued?
Yeah, so far I've actually liked what I've seen from the pitch timer. I don't know if I actually want it on the score bug at all times, but if you didn't know it existed, you think, oh, these teams are just playing a game at a very nice pace. So I've been a fan of that more so than I even expected going into the spring.
Do you look at what's kind of happened the last couple of days where the pitchers are trying to game the system where they don't get on the rubber, but the batter has to be in the box before 8 seconds? That's what I like to call an unintended consequence. I think everyone looked at it and goes, okay, this looks good. But then we don't think of everything until it absolutely happens. Those are what happens when, in the world called the loophole, where we're like, oh, we can skirt this rule. Oh, sweet. Now you're starting to see the unintended consequence where the for those of you who don't know, the pitcher won't step on the rubber right away. He'll wait because he doesn't have to pitch it until there's 1 second left, whereas the batter has to be in the box ready to go with 8 seconds. And then the pitcher then gets to kind of mess with the hitter. What do you think will happen there when it comes to that situation?
Yeah, I assume that the league will crack down on that loophole somehow between now and opening day. I know they sent out a memo last week according to MLB.com. So, I think it's a good thing, actually, though, that this got, exposed during the first week plus the spring training. So they do have time to fine tune and find a solution to closing that loophole, because it's a lot better to happen now than in a month's time when the games actually count, the stats actually count, and people are getting annoyed because their future earnings are being affected by this particular loophole. But I assume they're going to get that closed. It seems simple enough to close it, and I think there's always going to be some room for gamesmanship. Like, I don't think that's going to go completely out the window, but maybe they lower the 8-second count down to 5 or something. That way, pitchers can't just stand there and hold the ball or do whatever they want for the 7 seconds to mess with the hitter's timing.
Do you think that by the time opening day starts on March 31st, that pitchers and batters and everybody will get accustomed to it? Do you think 15 to 18 games is good enough?
Yeah, I think most people will be fine with that. You got to remember, baseball is a game of adjustments anyway. These guys are making adjustments constantly over the course of 6 months. So I think that they should be basically the perfect specimen to adjust quickly to this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're making this out to be like a groundbreaking change, and I get why, but you have to keep in mind, most people were already within these windows, so they put a rule on it, but it's not like they drastically overhauled it for most guys. Like, they were already kind of synced up with these time limits if you look at the past data.
Bigger bases. We're seeing more stolen bases and more attempts. Is that because they're seeing what they can get away with in spring training, and these numbers will not end up translating into the regular season? Or do you think because the numbers are so high that there will be more stolen bases coming up this year?
I think I've seen that in the past, stolen base rate in spring training is always a little higher than what it actually ends up being during the regular season. I would add that I don't even know if that's because of the bases, but keep in mind, part of the pitch timer is that you are limited in the amount of disengagement you get during an at-bat if you're a pitcher. So you can only throw over twice, and on the third throw over, you have to successfully pick off the base runner, or otherwise you get penalized for it. So I think that might actually be the bigger factor and the bigger reason for the stolen base increase. I will say that, it seems like people in the game are not necessarily thinking you're going to see a ton of stolen bases or a ton more stolen bases just because of the bases themselves. It's different, but it's not such a huge difference that will be the driving factor. I think if we do see more stolen bases, it'll be because of the disengagement.
What about the shift? We've already seen the the 2 outfielder move the left fielder. Good old Joey Gallo, man. Joey Gallo is the poster boy for the shift, it seems like. I feel bad for Joey Gallo. But the shift, for those of you who are just tuning in, you can only have 2 guys on either side of second base. Well, for some people, they're going to bring the left fielder and put him in shallow right field. Do you think the shift will generate more, or that is a little bit of an egregious move in your mind?
I actually think that's an overstatement too, just because if you look at some of the past research, there's some reason to think the shift was hurting pitchers because they nibbled a little bit more and walk rates would go up when the shift was then installed. And if you looked at batting average on balls in play, the rise of the shift really did not cause that number to drop. You know what I mean? Like, I think the shift's effectiveness was always overstated. I think that, the players who are most prone to hitting into the shift are probably still going to have issues because it's just a matter of their swing. If you have a groove swing or if you don't have an adjustable swing, you're probably going to be manipulated by pitchers and defenses no matter what. So, I'm open-minded that maybe we see more excitement. It's certainly more exciting to see a second baseman have to, track down a ball rather than have a hit to him in right field or what have you. But I think statistically, there's probably reason to think the shift ban is not going to have the great offensive boom that people are expecting from certain player types.
As a baseball guy, we get this a lot. Hit to the other side, be a good enough hitter, go all aspects, be better at your craft, right? So you, as a guy who covers baseball, what do you say to those people? Our answer is, it's damn hard to hit a ball that's going 99 miles an hour with 10 inches of run away from you to certain portions of the field. It's become so much tougher. What do you say? I'm sure you've got friends who are like, RJ, why can't they just go the other way? George Brett did it when I was watching it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the simple answer is the pitchers are better now. I mean, that's not just me saying that. We know they throw harder. We know that they have technology and data that allows them to optimize their pitches in a way that you couldn't have dreamed about in the 1980s. And we know that these pitchers are max effort all the time now because the workloads aren't the same. It's really tempting to think, oh, you can just go up there and flick the ball and, everyone can do it, but it's not that simple. And, if you're resorting to citing George Brett and Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, we're talking about, some of the best stat control people of all time. Like, not everyone is that. And so there's also, a larger conversation to be had about, well, if you're trying to maximize your output, is it better to take those little singles? Is it better to just swing for the fences? And, I don't think this is probably the environment to get into that conversation, but it's not as simple as it sounds, I guess is what I'm really saying here.
Yeah, it's hard to hit a baseball. If you fail at it 7 times, you're a Hall of Famer. You are George Brett in that situation. We're talking with RJ Anderson, covers Major League Baseball for CBS. All right, I do have to ask you a Royal-centric question because I like the national guy. You do not zero in, and you're not wondering about, wow, who's going to be playing third base for the Kansas City Royals. For those of you, if you're wondering, we're not excited that Hunter Dozier is going to be it either. So if you're on the same page as we are, we're not excited. But we do want to know your opinion on Matt Quatraro, JJ Piccolo, Brian Sweeney. This is the new regime for the Royals. What is it from a 1,000-foot distance on how you view who the Royals have in charge now?
Yeah, I mean, Piccolo's name has been out there for GM openings for, close to a decade now, I want to say. Basically since the Royals, were competitive and in the World Series picture. And, I know he's well respected by every executive. I do think that people kind of scratch their brow or their foreheads or wherever they scratch nowadays at the idea of the Royals staying internal. They have had this run of consistency under Dayton Moore, and it looked like they needed new ideas. And usually that comes with fresh blood. Usually that comes hiring someone outside the organization. So staying internal, kind of caused some eye rolls, kind of caused some, quips about, oh, are they trying to be the American League Rockies? Because, it's something the Rockies have famously done time after time. Fire the GM and then hire one of his right-hand people. That said, I'm willing to give them a chance. I don't think that you're necessarily going to get the same exact ideas and the same exact philosophy just because two people work closely together. So I guess I would say, it's probably too early to really judge. I thought this offseason was kind of boring for Kansas City's part. But, I could see myself finding, I guess I could say this. I don't think they did anything this offseason to harm their chances of turning the ship around, but I also don't think they did too much to help their chances of turning it around this year. So the jury is it's just way too early to say, I guess that's how I would phrase it.
What would you have said that if they did do something? I guess I'm asking, what is that something that you would say, wow, they really do have a bigger chance of turning it around? What would they have had to do in your mind?
Add some really good starting pitchers, because I think the basis is there for an above average lineup built mostly out of homegrown players. But the additions they made to the pitching staff, I mean, I could see Brett Keller taking a step forward because of the offseason work he did. Jordan Lyles has been someone who probably should be better than he has pitched results-wise forever. Are the Royals going to get something out of him that the Orioles and the Brewers and some of these other teams who are just playing better at pitching development and pitching strategy? Are the Royals going to be the team to unlock that? Probably not. Ryan Yarbrough is fine, but I just don't see the pitching talent there on the big league roster right now. And that's, for me at least, that's the great separation between them being where they are right now, which is probably competing for fourth place in American League Central, and them being where they could be in a year's time, which is competing for a wild card spot, or perhaps for the division crown if the young hitters really come through and they really upgrade the rotation, the pitching staff.
How much can a brand new view from a pitching coach and a manager have when it comes to an impact? Here locally, we're hearing that Cal Eldred did not even have individual pitching blueprints for each pitcher. It was, this is what you're going to do. We're going to teach you to do this. If you don't like it, tough cookies. That seems a very archaic way, and shocker that maybe that's why the Royals sucked and finished 31st in every damn statistical category. They did walk more people than anybody though, so they were number one there. That's awesome. So how much can you you say, hey, this is going to make a difference because we're not old and busted. We got kind of the newer model.
Right. I mean, the reality is it sounds like they were well behind. And, the problem with that is that sometimes it's an infrastructure issue where maybe they don't have the analytical people, the programming people to get the kind of reports that other teams have. And so they're not getting the same information, or they're not getting better information, or they're not getting information as quickly as other teams. And, I talk to personnel of other front offices, and I always ask, what makes the Dodgers so good? How are they constantly developing prospects despite never having an early first round pick, or despite, always trading for veterans? And one of the answers is, well, they have a lot of manpower. They have they have a lot of manpower, so they have multiple people who can go around and work with prospects. I forget the head count off the top of my head, but it's an impressive number compared to other organizations. And also, they're on the bleeding edge of everything. I mean, they have individualized reports on every single player to present to them. Here's how you can get better. This is personalized. This isn't cookie cutter. We know your traits. We know, exactly what you need to improve your game. I mean, it's a public story. A couple of years ago when they got Jake McGee looked completely washed. Well, they knew based on, this technology and data interface they have that he really needed to improve his drive and his front hip. They gave him some exercises to do. He did them, and all of a sudden he was really good again. And stuff like that is just, it's so hard to mimic if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't have the vision. So I can't say that the new Royals have that, but you would hope if you're a Royals fan that they're closer to that, because you're not just a few years behind, you're probably decades behind at this point. And that's really hard to overcome when you're not dealing with the biggest budget in the world to begin with.
It's just mind-boggling to me that in the year of our Lord 2023, that the Royals pitching staff was like, yeah, you're going to throw a curveball like this. Well, it's not working for me. Well, deal with it. Like, I get that in 1987, not 2023. That's mind-blowing how short-sighted and obtuse that is to me. Which, hey, you know what? The Royals have sucked for the last 5 years, so it's not a surprise that ends up happening. I want to move to the World Baseball Classic. Is it a big deal? Like, do people even care?
I hope so. I mean, I think it's a fun tournament. Is it the most prestigious thing? Is it the World Cup of baseball? Like, I'm sure everyone involved with organizing would like it to be. Probably not, but I think that's an unfair comparison just because the WBC has not really been around that long. What is it, the sixth one, the fifth one?
Yeah, I haven't played since 2017.
Yeah, it's been 6 years. So, I mean, I think it's pretty fun. You get to see players you usually wouldn't get to see. Obviously, MLB fans are probably more concerned about the injury aspect and, how it affects their team. But, I think it's a fun diversion. And I hope that we don't go another 6 years between tournaments.
Well, they didn't have because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were supposed to have it in 2021. And then, obviously it got bumped to this year because of the vaccine rollout and whatnot.
All righty. I got my last two for the road. It's a very simple question. All right. You, RJ Anderson, is in charge of baseball for a day. Whatever you choose to do during that day goes for the rest of eternity. So if you want to give yourself, box seats to every single game, you can do so. I don't think that's what you're going to do because you're a baseball guy. You want to see baseball evolve and get better. What is the one thing that you would change for baseball if you were in charge for a day?
Yeah, I would find a way to make it where the commissioner is the true steward of the game and a third party, and isn't just, the owners or he doesn't work for the owners. He works for the game itself. It's the way it used to be. Unfortunately, during the C-League years, having an active owner as commissioner kind of set a new precedent. But that would be my number one thing, is find a way to change that role back to what it used to be.
Okay, it's kind of a parlay off that one. Who would be a good commissioner of baseball?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if it'd be a baseball person, maybe someone who's coming in from outside the culture, so they have new eyes. It kind of goes back to what we said about the Royals. You want someone who knows what pitch design is and whatnot. So I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't have a good answer off the top of my head.
All righty, last question. Will we ever see another 300 winner as a pitcher?
Yes, when they change the requirements for a win, because otherwise we're not getting one in our lifetime.
You don't think so? If they keep keep it the way it is right now, we won't have another 300-win pitcher?
No, because I think pitching staffs are just changing in their workload expectations, and I think front offices just think about it differently. It's no longer this is our starting pitcher, and some of these front offices, this is the guy who's going to get his 12 outs. This is the guy who can get 3 outs. I think the philosophy is going to continue to change away from the standard and the historical precedent for starting pitchers and the workloads and how long they go in the games and all that good stuff. So I just think the win statistic has to be changed if we're ever going to get a 300-game winner again.
RJ, thank you so much for the insight. We appreciate it. As always, the opening day less than a month away. Enjoy the rest of spring training.
Thank you for having me. RJ
Anderson, CBS Sports. He's on your side, Fulton. No more 300-game winners.
Not going to happen. Accept it. And I'm with RJ too. You'd have to change what is the requirement for a win before we get there. Which I don't even think that would really help, because I think the requirements for a win are the right way to do it, of having to go 5. Like, I still think that's the right way to view it, because it should, from a starting perspective, a starter should get the win if they got the bulk load of the work to get you there before, the late inning stuff gets all wacky. But it's just, he's right. Like, pitching staffs are treated differently now. The way the game is viewed for workload's different. Now, that being said, I'm also on the Brendan Dorzinski train of starters need to be willing to go 6 or 7. Like, I'm not also in the camp of like, guys thrown 88 pitches. We can't let, no, these guys can go 100, 105. They can go 6 to 7 innings. I think we've gone a little too far to the cautious side for some of these guys. I think there's other things we could do.
How very old school of you, Fulton.
It's probably my one and only real old school baseball take. I might have a couple others I'm not thinking about. But no, I think, because like last year, I remember Clayton Kershaw got pulled in the middle of a perfect game after barely 5 innings. And it's just like, well, you need to let his arms stretch out more. I'm like, no, you don't.
Well, that was the first game of the year.
It was one of Clayton's second or third starts of the year. It was not Clayton's first start of the year.
I thought it was his first.
It was not Clayton's first start of the year. It was one of his early starts of the year. I do not believe it was his first start of the year.
We might have to look that up.
We might need to double check. Either way, though, that all being said, guys can go 6 innings.
Justin Verlander, I think, is the last hope.
Verlander and Scherzer. And I don't know how close Scherzer is. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank.
Verlander has 244 wins.
He's what, 39?
And he is 39 years old. He had 18 wins last year. He's going to have a good team.
Yeah.
So you would need essentially 3 more years of 15 wins.
Basically, and that's asking Verlander to pitch as well as he has for 3 more years. And pitchers historically, it's hard to guess when the cliff comes. Sometimes that cliff just shows up.
He did have Tommy John just a few last
Somehow
year.
It came after Tommy John and had one of his best years. That's absurd.
You mean his best year?
That's absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But also, you don't know when that arm's going to blow out again. You never know.
It'll blow out in 4 years after he gets to 300 wins. Coming up, we're going to get to NFL and the big news. Derek Carr headed to New Orleans. We'll get to the contract. We'll also take a look at the combine, all that coming up here on Mic'd Up. Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton, hour number 2 on a Monday. Thanks for stopping by. Want to give a big thanks to RJ Anderson for coming on, talking all things Major League Baseball and some Royals. He also, too, is stunned that Cal Eldred sucked at his job. And no wonder that the Royals pitching staff was bad. Kind of not a surprise that the Royals hitters took a turn when they got someone from, 2020 who knows about the game of hitting here recently, and the hitting turned around. How about that? Wild.
Big shock what modern instruction can do.
Wild.
Big
That is
surprise.
weird, wild stuff.
Weird, wild, and wacky.
Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, easy number, 785-272-9429. Our list today, it is National Oreo Day today.
I love a good Oreo.
I do too, man. Love a good.
I can't lie. So I this is entirely tangential now. I don't have any Oreos in my apartment right now. And now that we talked about this today, I might have get Oreos at to work and put them in my apartment.
How good were the Oreo thins that I gave you?
Those were good. Those were a good choice. They're not going to be my first choice because I like, whatever flavor of the cream in the center of the Oreo is.
Sugar. We call that sugar.
Well, you know what I mean, though. So, like, the thins are good, but there's not enough to them.
Yeah.
I'll eat them if they're my option.
That's
not
not what they're there for. They're there to be a light, thin Oreo.
I know they are. I need my full Oreo.
So we're going to go with, when you go down, we're not talking about our favorite cookies, because let's be real. Homemade cookies are better than any store-bought cookie.
Facts.
But you go down the cookie aisle. What are you grabbing?
Oh. This is a tough list because there's a lot of good options.
And we're talking cookie. I'm not talking like Pinwheels or, those. I'm talking cookie. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple. So we'll get to that. Talk more Chiefs, but some big NFL news happening today.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr is going to sign with the New Orleans Saints. That is right. Derek Carr headed to New Orleans. Now, the contract, the wordage, okay? The Saints and Derek Carr agreed on a 4-year deal worth $150 million. He gets $70 million effectively full guaranteed, $60 million at signing. Another $10 million in year 3, vesting after 1 year. See how they do all these fancy words, effectively full vesting, all this kind of stuff. Most people see 4 years, 150. Wow, he got 4 years, 150. Dang, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, right?
In reality, it might be more like 3 years, 70.
Or 2 years, 60.
Yeah.
60 million at signing. That's guaranteed.
The greatest way I can explain this to everyone is Derek Carr's contract he signed with the Raiders last year was 3 years, $121.5 million.
And he played how many years under that?
What?
Yeah.
He played for 1 year, 24, essentially. And that was, because everyone saw the contract last year for Derek Carr, like, man, that's $40 million a year for Derek Carr. Oh my God. And it's like, guys, it's what you and I all the time say. It is not about the raw numbers when a contract is announced. Talk to me when the breakdowns come out. And how does it actually look? That was, when MVS signed with the Chiefs for 3 years, $30 million. And was like, man, playing Marquez Valdez, he only $10 million a year. Interesting. You're like, well, it's really like 2 years, $15 million. And then you can maybe do more. Like, that's how these contracts work. That is the important part to discuss on all of these is what do the actual numbers look out to be? Because, yeah, Derek looks like he's getting 4 and 150, but with only, $70 million overall guaranteed, the Saints could have an easy out after 2 years. And then they don't pay him almost over half the contract. That's where, the guarantees get interesting. And why a guy like Lamar Jackson wants his contract fully guaranteed, so he gets all his money.
Two things can be true at the same time. One, Lamar Jackson can hold out for as much money as he wants.
Of course he can.
He
well,
can
then
do
his
that.
rights.
He can do that. He wants a fully guaranteed contract, go for it.
Yeah.
I also happen to think what the Ravens are doing is perfectly fine as well.
Yep.
Would I want to guarantee $250 million to a guy who's only played 1 full season in his NFL career?
No.
Absolutely not. Why on earth would I do that?
I will rarely ever be a advocate for the owner's guy. Not really my style. But players are welcome to ask for whatever amount they want, and teams are welcome to not honor that.
Yes.
The Chiefs and Orlando Brown are a great situation.
You're the owner of the Ravens. Are you giving Lamar Jackson guaranteed $250 million?
It's a hard, long thought for me based on injury history and other compositions. And so I understand their position.
It is not a long, hard thought. Zero chance that I would give him $250 million guaranteed.
It's just like, we talk about this for Orlando Brown all the time. Orlando Brown is well within his rights to ask for top 3 left tackle money. He's well within his rights. The Chiefs are also well within their rights to go, buddy, we ain't bringing you back on that.
Pow.
Like, It's true. And that's the thing when it comes to contracts is neither side should necessarily be shamed unless owners are being openly far too cheap. Like that's where I start going to maybe you can start shaming of like, you see X player get a contract from someone else and go, wow, that team couldn't make that work. Then you the Bengals, notorious cheapskates when it comes to contracts.
Which is going to be fascinating.
I am interested to see how that goes. But those are tons. But as long as it seems like, guy wants his value, like Tyreek Hill is another great example. Tyreek wanted to get his $30 million a year. Go get it, King. The Chiefs were within their rights to say, we ain't the ones paying it, though. Like, you can't do that. So, well within your rights to get what you want.
I think this is a good spot for Derek Carr.
It's not a bad one.
I do. And the main reason why, Derek Carr goes from, makes me happy. We thought he would be the worst quarterback in the AFC West. And we thought it would go Mahomes, Herbert, Wilson, and then Derek Carr.
And then Russell Wilson said, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my mini beers. As I bring
hold
in
my Breckenridge IPA.
Unless I bring in my personal, guy here and personal guy here.
So that's the Jake Heap's best quarterback guru to have.
Yes. Yeah.
No, you're right.
KU legend.
But yeah, you're right. He goes from AFC West, a very tough division, to he is head and shoulders the best quarterback in the NFC South.
It's the worst division in football.
Like, the second best quarterback in the NFC South right now is Desmond Ridder. Truly. Because Jameis, until he's officially cut, can hold that spot for a little bit. He's going to get cut. With this signing, James going to be cap casualty.
Yes.
So Desmond Ridder is probably the second best. We've never seen Kyle Trask in a regular season game. And his preseason has left a lot to be desired in Tampa. And you're going to tell me Matt Corral is your guy in Carolina? He hasn't played a snap of NFL football. Baker's in with the Rams, buddy.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
Baker with the Rams, King.
I forgot about that.
And Sam Darnold is not under contract.
Yeah.
Their best quarterback under contract for Carolina is Matt Corral.
That's a good spot to be in if you're Derek Carr.
No, it's great.
He gets more guaranteed money. He gets $60 million than the other guaranteed who's going to get in Vegas.
There are two great reasons why I think Derek Carr made a good move here. One was you're playing in a soft division, and your team's not that bad what New Orleans had, so you got a chance to succeed there.
Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave.
Well, we'll see how much football Alvin Kamara is playing at this point.
Yeah, he kind of. I'm going with.
I know. As of now, you're correct. Now. As of now, he has Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. Both those might not be true when the season starts.
One, Alvin Kamara off the field issues.
Michael Thomas contract and other things.
Well, that and he can't stay healthy.
But anyway, nonetheless, the other reason is this: Derek Carr is not a good cold weather quarterback. He now plays half his games in a dome, and the rest of his games are going to be very much well below probably the southern part of the states.
Well, no, I mean, if you look at it, every one of them, the Atlanta plays in a dome, and then you've got Carolina who plays in Carolina, and then
Tampa plays in Tampa.
And
so that's 8 plus what? That's 6, 14. He has to worry about 3 games. Yeah.
Yeah, because half of the other games are
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically
3 or maximum 4 games because you have 17.
And then plus the 3 road division. So I'll worry about 3 road division plus 6 more, so 9 games. Or if they have 9 home games. Either way, he won't have to worry much about going too far north.
No.
Which was my entire thing when I said I didn't have him going to the Jets. Was you have to play outside cold in New York, and Derek Carr historically not a good cold weather quarterback. Man's like, all right, I see that problem myself. I'm just going to go play in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Actually, wait, breaking news. David Carr just announced that the Saints are winning the NFC South.
Of course he is. Another piece of NFL news that just came at the top of the hour. Calvin Ridley is reinstated.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver Calvin Ridley, in case those of you that forgot that he got traded to Jacksonville at some point last year, which was a weird thing that happened. But now the Jags have a top 2 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
And the Dallas Cowboys continue to be the laughingstock of the NFL.
So stupid.
The Dallas Cowboys have franchise tagged Tony Pollard.
Yeah, they did.
So that means they're going to sign another running back, or they're going to trade him.
Yeah. Just I want to put this out there. If Tony Pollard plays for the Cowboys under that tag, under that $10 million, do you know how much the Cowboys will be paying their 2 running backs? combined.
$28 million.
$26 million.
Yeah.
Because Zeke Elliott has a $16 million cap hit. 16.72 if we're going to get real specific in the numbers.
He's not good.
You want to know what Zeke's dead cap is if they cut him or traded him?
15 million?
11. They save $5 million.
But they're eating 11.
They're eating $11 million.
Yeah, the Cowboys
Because
are
Jerry
out.
Jones gave him that contract. Which just looks worse and worse and worse as time moves on in the world.
Terrible. Terrible.
They are paying $26 million to 2 running backs.
Yeah, you can
As
do
of
that.
now.
You can do that.
It's a choice. Not one that I would make, personally.
Not a good choice.
But it's a choice. His cap hit last year was $18 million for Zeke.
Yeah.
16 this year, 14 next year, 17, then 16.
Travis Kelce's cap hit was $13 million this last year. Zeke Elliott had an $18 million cap hit.
Travis Kelce was $5 million less than Zeke Elliott. One of those is a Hall of Famer. One of those is not.
That just goes to show you how you can be bad at your job. I mean, so bad at your job. Like, I know 12-year-olds who wouldn't even made that move.
Teams stay bad for myriads of reasons. One of them is you can't pay star money to non-star players and non-star positions. Listen, running backs, I feel for your plight and your positional value going down, so it's harder for you guys to make money. I feel the plight. At the same time, paying running backs just has been proven not to be smart.
No.
Like Isaiah Pacheco, buddy, enjoy your rookie contract. You ain't going to probably get that much of a bag. We appreciate you, buddy, but that's just the way it goes.
Speaking of running backs,
yes.
How about this? The Combine was this weekend, the Underwear Olympics. And Deuce Vaughn is a record breaker. Julius Brent's also a record breaker.
Yeah, Julius Brent's has a lot of good measurables at the Combine.
Yeah, longest wingspan for a DB ever.
Yeah.
Okay, that's positive, right? Well, Deuce Vaughn is the shortest person ever measured at the Combine.
He's so tiny.
5'5".
He's so tiny.
And I saw people over the weekend going, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible." It blows my mind how many people talk about the NFL and have no earthly idea what the hell goes on in college football. Yeah. If you were any semblance of a person watching television and watching an ounce of college football, you knew that Deuce Vaughn was short. When it was like, Deuce Vaughn, 5'5", I was like, sweet, I live in Kansas. Like, you're wearing a blue hoodie.
Yeah.
That speaker is black. Like, how? Of course he's small. Did you not see him?
Yeah.
He was literally one of the best running backs in college football for the last 2 years.
And you could look at him and go, man, that's a tiny dude.
And
I always thought 5'6" was being generous.
I mean, I thought 5'6", 5'7", whatever. When you get into that number, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not. We're not talking 5'11", 6 foot. You know,
no,
that is a big deal. I'm not as confident in Deuce being as good as I thought Tyler Lockett would be, because they're both in the same cat. They're both smaller stature guys playing in the NFL. The difference is that Lockett at 5'10", you can be small and be a good wide receiver. We've seen that. Deuce is small at a running back. I think his skill set and what he brings to the table is so unique, and he's so good at it that I do think he will be a productive NFL player. But I'm not gonna go out like on the limb that I said that Tyler Lockett was going to be great.
Yeah.
And he is.
Yeah.
And he's
fantastic.
I mean, we're talking Seahawk Ring of Honor good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not that staunch that Deuce will because he is small, but I do think he's got a spot in the league. You don't tear up a league like he did and do nothing at the running back
agreed.
spot. I really don't. But that was some of the takeaways. That and Apparently, it means more to jump high and jump far for a quarterback than to actually throw the football accurate. That's not a knock towards Anthony Richardson. Dude is a freak show of an athlete, but
he's a great athlete.
You got to be able
to. A lot of raw quarterback things that I personally don't like.
You got now. His ceiling is way up there.
His ceiling's through the roof. His floor, though, is crashing into the earth.
His floor is 2 and
done. Got a lot of variance.
Yeah, a lot of variance. Maybe he's worth the risk. Coming up next, we're going to talk cookies. Everyone loves the list. Very simple, very easy for today. It is National Oreo Day today. Shout out to the Oreo. And we are going to go with our favorite store-bought cookies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fig Newton ain't a cookie. All right. It's fruit and cake. So if you got Fig Newton on there, it goes.
No, it's not cookie. I agree.
All right.
I agree.
All right.
Number 4 for me. Get you a little specific on this. Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies, the crispier, more solid kind.
Okay.
The ones that a little crunch when you bite to them, they're 4. Had a little specific on that one, but that kind is 4. But it's a good cookie. Good classic chocolate chip cookie.
Number 4 for me, Keebler's Fudge Stripes.
Ooh, yeah. It's a good pick. That's a good pick. Number 3 for me. Now, this is where I venture the most off of my list, and I'm willing to hear arguments that it doesn't count, but I think it does count. Vanilla wafers. It is a wafer, which I believe is close to a subset enough of a cookie.
You, of all people, are going to come at me.
Yes, I am.
Whatever.
I will believe
I
in
don't
that.
have the energy to go with you on that
Dude,
one.
vanilla wafers are delicious, though.
The
Do you at
only-
least agree with that?
No, the only way vanilla wafers
Loser.
are good is if you dip them in or scoop them up with Cool Whip.
That makes them better, but by themselves, they're still delicious.
Yeah. Number 3, Biscoff cookies, baby. That is right. That is the best airport cookie out there, man.
Is the Biscoff.
Only reason to fly Delta to get the Biscoffs. Fantastic. Biscoff cookies.
Choose an airport just to make sure. Choose an airline just to get the cookies.
They
that is
all
fair.
Suck. Let's be real.
That's actually very, very true. Number 2 for me, Chips Ahoy, the Chewies. Those are the best version of Chips Ahoy you can have. That distinction raises them.
All right. Number 2 for me, there's a caveat. With milk. If you just pop Oreos like you're popping Skittles, you should be arrested. Oreos with milk, nothing better.
Number 1 for me is the Oreo, and it doesn't need milk. It just needs to be an Oreo. Oreos by themselves are the greatest sandwich cookie ever made.
Alrighty. Number 1, the GOAT. I'm going to get so specific. You probably never even heard of these joints. That's why I will show you a picture. They are the Mother Circus Animal Cookie.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Pink and white.
Yep.
And they've got sprinkles on them.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're
good. They are a good choice.
Like, that was number 1.
That's a top tier choice.
It is unbelievable how good those things are.
That is a top tier choice. I will agree.
If you don't know, Google Mother Circus Animal Cookie. Go buy them today. They're excellent. Coming up next, we'll talk Chiefs checklist. (785-272-9429). Everybody loves the good cookie talk. Let us know your number one cookie. Bradley J told me his is a Kroger brand cookie over there on the big 94.5. I had to pop over there and ask him. Fulton, you look like you've just seen a ghost.
Did you just see the latest news regarding the Kansas City Chiefs?
No, let me see it. Let me see it. Hold on. This doesn't. It involves the former chief, right? The Arizona Cardinals are expected to move on from center Rodney Hudson.
That is not it.
Okay, hold on.
Let me know when I can tell you.
Hold on.
I know. I'm waiting.
I'm looking. I'm sifting. I'm waiting. Oh!
Yeah.
Wow, Patrick Mahomes no longer uses ketchup on his steak.
I'm gonna kick you in the head.
Messing with you. Wow.
Yeah.
All righty.
Let's let the people know, shall we?
All right. The Chiefs don't plan to use a second franchise tag on left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. per source. That means Kansas City has until Monday to work out a long-term deal with Brown, or else he'll be a free agent to negotiate with other teams. They need to add something to that. They can trade him as well.
So here's what I'll say to that. And this requires a deep dive into the rule book.
Okay.
He is not technically under contract. Like, the reason they have until Monday is that's when the legal tampering period begins. Because when the new league year kicks off, he's a free agent. Like, if they don't tag him, he's not under contract. Now, I don't know how that works. I don't know if there is a weird gray area. He is not under contract. He is a free agent. Like, if they don't give him the tag when the new league year begins, he is a free agent.
Because I suppose he's kind of like a man without a country right now.
Yes. Look, incredibly correct. He is a man he is a free agent just because the new league year has begun, legal tampering period has begun. He can't negotiate with anyone else.
And the reason why I say that is,
it's like, had they tagged him, that would mean they could still trade him.
Yeah.
By not using the tag, unless there's a weird loophole I am not aware of,
I get what you're
they
saying.
can't trade him. They have until Monday, a week from today, to figure something out. Or essentially Monday, they still can. Like, I want to make this clear. It's not like Monday comes and all of a sudden the Chiefs can't talk to him ever again.
Mm-hmm.
It's they have until Monday to be his only communication.
Yeah.
Because once Monday comes, the legal tampering period begins and everyone else can come chit-chat. This means a couple of things, in my opinion. A friend of the show, Seth Kaiser, pointed this out, and I think it sums it up pretty well. He says, this feels like either today's meeting between KC and Browns reps either went really well or really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right way. The Chiefs have basically drawn a line in the sand, I think is what they've done.
And we know that because that's what they did last year.
They did. And honestly, that's what Brett Veach needs to do. This is where I circle this back to what we were talking about, the Cowboys contracts to start this hour. Part of the reason teams go downhill is when you start paying players more money than they're worth and you're locked into bad deals. The Chiefs, as of now, have really succeeded recently because they don't pay people bad deals usually. Now, they've had a couple contracts that kind of soured a bit. The Frank Clark contract, I know, is our biggest example of it didn't really work out. But since the Frank Clark deal, Brett Veach has been really careful in how he pays players. And he's only going to give out big deals to those he knows are worth it.
And really the only contract that, to me, he's given out that has not been good since the Clark deal, but really was at the same time as Clark, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
Was it the Hitchens contract?
No, the Sammy Watkins contract.
Yeah, that one wasn't too great.
But the only reason they did that was because they wanted to give Mahomes, who then was a first-year starter,
want to give him a surefire weapon.
A lot of weapons. They had Tyreek, they had Travis, you had Sammy.
They've just reevaluated. And so this is fascinating. Like, this, to reiterate, this does not mean guaranteed Orlando Brown Jr. is gone. It just means it is the second, I think, now the most likely option. Because this, to me, is what a lot of people are saying, and I'm with them. The Chiefs have their line, and I think Brown's team has crossed it. Like, their deal crosses that line, and Brett Veach just like, listen, Orlando, we love you.
Yeah.
But we can't do this.
And
like, we have our system.
They've done that.
Our plan works. The minute they traded Tyreek Hill last year, I think every player needed to really learn, unless your name is Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
The second.
Or maybe Travis Kelce. And now Chris Jones is flirting with this area. Unless you're one of those three names, you are replaceable. Not in the vein of like, we think you aren't good enough and therefore we can easily, like, it's not that. It's we'll find a way to make it work without you because we need the rest of these pieces to work. And I said earlier, and I'll say it again, Orlando's within his rights to ask for as much as he wants. Someone will give him top 3 left tackle money. Someone in the NFL will pay that contract.
Oh, yes.
And either it'll be bad or good. We won't know immediately, but someone will do it. And the Chiefs are just willing to say, not going to be us. Which means Brett Veach is now either going to find a similar replacement level he can execute a trade for, or Brett Veach is going to go, well, looks like tackle's our first priority in the draft. Because the Chiefs have done a good job developing offensive linemen. But, man, I really, really thought they would have tagged him to at least give more time or do a trade move. This basically means they're just like,
I think it went. I think if it went really, really, really well, or they're really, really, really close, then they would tag him
just to
do
kind of
more
a good
time.
faith show of like, hey, you're here. Give us more time to iron out the finer points.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I think this leans towards more.
Or you don't report this. This right here, I think this is more about. This is the agent. This is the agent for Orlando Brown leaking this information.
Be like, hey, teams, get ready.
And that's why. Hey, everybody, if you didn't think
line up at our door
that one of the best left tackles is going to be on the free agent market,
probably the top left tackle on the market,
guess what? He will be if we don't get our money. Yeah. That's from the agent.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this comes out from them.
If you are now, I would think that would be the case, because why would the Chiefs say this?
Unless I don't know. That's the weird part. I think if whoever would push this out would be more on Brown's camp to just, kind of give teams that early signal flag of like, we're going to be open for business. We talk about how next Monday starts the legal tampering period. The tampering period's already begun. Like, that began at the combine. The little backroom chats are already happening.
Now, I'm trying to go through this as it comes off, just 5 minutes ago. Nate Taylor says, yep, can confirm the Chiefs are not going to place the franchise tag on Orlando Brown Jr. I just wonder why you wouldn't. Here's the thing. Some people are saying, like, Jake, why wouldn't you just tag him and trade him? Well, the Chiefs will get a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, comp pick for Orlando Brown. The way comp picks work are, if you lose a player to free agency, it all determines money, how much money they sign for. And then you combine all the players that you lose. Orlando Brown might get $80 million guaranteed. Don't know. Yeah.
But if you have one of those big monster free agents and you sign a couple others, they do the balancing act type of thing of how much money you lost, how much they signed. Because if you got a couple, low contracts and then you bring on a monster one, you're not going to get any comp picks. So it's not like they're going to get nothing for Orlando Brown, okay? If they can't get to a deal, then Orlando Brown goes to free agency. He will sign a monster deal, probably with a team that should be the Bears, to be honest with you, because they've got plenty of cap space. Then the Chiefs will get a comp pick for next year. Not this year, not 2023. Whereas if you tag him and then you trade him, you would get whatever compensation you would get. And it would be a sign and trade. It would be the same situation as the Chiefs trading for Frank Clark. You'd say, hey, we'll give you the 31st pick, and we'll get Frank Clark, and then we're just going to pay him a whole bunch of money. Do the Chiefs not think that they could tag him and then put him out to trade then? Do you think you could, or because I think this is coming from the agent, because that way this gets all the teams now, their heads are up going, oh, we could get Orlando Brown. Because if you don't do, if you're the Chiefs and this news gets out, then that basically says, yeah, we're only tagging him because we can't get a deal done. And so that you
tag and trade.
You lose all your leverage if you are the Chiefs, because then someone will be like, well, I'm not. I mean, they're not going to get a deal done. So he's either going to play on the tag or not.
The other thing becomes this. And I know there's going to be discussions about trades and whatnot. Orlando Brown on the open free agent market is probably going to get paid. Because relatively compared to the rest of the free agent left tackles, he's the best one out there. That being said, that does not mean his trade value is equal to that value. And so I think they're also in a situation where the Chiefs have made calls and have gauged interest, and it just might not be there because teams are not willing to both pay him. Basically, a team might be saying, I'm not both giving you an asset and overpaying a player. I'd rather just overpay the player. Since compensatory picks and stuff like that are such a complicated formula, you never really know what's going to shake out and stuff like that. I think, at least on the trade front, this could be a level of the Chiefs going, the value we'd want in return is not there. So we're not going to worry about tagging and trading. And we're just going to see what happens. I don't know. Now, Brett Veach is earned the benefit of the doubt in this situation. And I think we all have moved to agree on that point. You know, whatever the Chiefs want to do will probably work. But it is a fascinating situation that it would just be to let him walk, period. Now, we could all be wrong in all of this. And truly, they are close to a deal. And by the end of the week, it's announced that Orlando Brown signed to a new long-term deal in Kansas City. We could all be stunned by that news.
And plus this, and I want to cover all bases here. They could put the onus on Orlando Brown. Like, hey, do you want to play in Kansas City? Do you want to play for a winner? We are offering you this. This is what we're offering. You don't like it? Go ahead, walk, and play for somebody like Chicago. Let me know how you want to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe Orlando Brown will say, yeah, I am going to walk. I'm going to walk right over there to $80 million guaranteed when you're offering me $60 million guaranteed. And I'm going to walk over there on $100 bills that I pasted on my shoes because I have the money to do so. Like, they'll get a comp pick for him. They'll get a third-round pick because he will sign a massive, massive deal.
You have to imagine.
So I wonder why not tagging him. But if you tag him, that's $20 million to the cap. Boom.
Yep.
Right there. And you haven't done the cap maneuvering possibilities. This is why I have said from the very, very, very beginning, this is so many options offseason for Brett Veach. That is great because if one option closes, you can go another route. But it's also very scary because you have so many options. What if you pick the wrong one?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is correct.
If you've got just one option, we have to do this. Boom. Figure it out. We have to do this. But you can tag Orlando Brown. You can let him walk. You get the comp pick. You can sign him to a long-term deal. You don't. You can trade him. You can convert Mahomes' cap space from a roster to a signing bonus. You can restructure Joe Tooney. You can extend Chris Jones. You can go out and you can try to get Juju. There's so many things that they can do.
Yeah.
I just asked Matt Verderham, obviously friend of 580 Sports Talk, and I said, why wouldn't they tag him and then try to trade him? You'd get more than a third-round comp pick, right? Plus the comp pick is for 2024, not 2023. And he goes, just spitballing, but a real problem could be tying up $20 million in cap space to do that. Maybe the Chiefs figure it's not worth it, but there could be a ton of moving parts as well.
There's a lot of moving parts to
Yes.
this. And I don't know if free agencies now, left tackle free agency is weak. We've noted that. That's why Brown's going to be kind of the tip top. Yes.
Here we go. Albert Breer just tweeted it out.
Yes, our good friend Breer.
Chiefs' decision to not tag Orlando Brown came to, I'm told, their desire to lock him in a long-term left tackle this offseason. Tagging Brown doesn't do it. It basically guarantees he's free in 24, making it hard to do a deal because of the $20 million number now. And that's why I said Friday, I go, Orlando Brown has no problem being on the tag.
Yeah, because he'll just say, all right, I'm not doing a deal. Give him my $20 million this year, and I'll walk next year.
And I'm guaranteed to go to free agency next year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll show up this year. He'll play really damn well because if he doesn't, he ain't going to get the bag next year. So that's another aspect of it to the difference between the first franchise tag and the second franchise tag.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a great point.
Like he said, their desire to lock in a long-term left tackle this offseason.
They want to figure it out.
I wonder if this isn't they think there's old linemen in the draft.
So that's where I think there's two big options here. And I think there's two moves the Chiefs can do. You could, in theory, see if maybe, because left tackle's not great. I don't know how you feel. You could re-sign Andrew Wiley, try him at left, have one of your young guys at right. That is the riskier option. There are a few good tackle options in this year's draft. Now, the best options for that are going a lot higher than the Chiefs will pick, so they'd have to get creative to get up there. But I wouldn't be stunned if this is just Brett Veach going, Orlando, if you ain't going to be here, then I'm about to go try to be a wizard and get us up into a pick to get a new offensive lineman. Like, it's not that simple. And there is it's very clear. There is an inherent risk with saying we're going to go to rookie left tackle. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a massive risk. But if Brett Veach wants to try that, more power to him. And honestly, like I said, Brett Veach has earned my benefit of doubt for him when he does these things. I will trust him that there is something he has seen in the draft potentially where he's like, we can make a move. Now, there's another. Now, I know we talk about long-term left tackle here, and I think they will do that. There's also the chance that there are some veteran left tackles in the market that you wouldn't want to lock up long-term. Maybe Veach does acquire a first-round left tackle, signs a guy like Taylor Lewan, or in a really weird situation, sign Andrew Wiley, ask him to play left for a year, and you develop that new left tackle. There are options. There are a lot of moving parts. But I think it's a good idea for Veach and company to do we need to get a long-term left tackle solved. And they're very understanding of, if we tagged Brown, he would lose all incentive to talk. Because he would just plan his 20 million years and walk away. Now, if Brown wants to be a Chief, and he wants a contract long-term, which is what Brown wants too, but he just wants a contract, period. He got to come to the table with somebody. It's the right way to keep your leverage in the right spot. It's ballsy, but it works.
We're going to get to some more because there are so many things cropping up in the old skull here. We'll get to that. We got overreaction, underreaction. We'll talk Royals. All that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. Up on this Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake Levon along with Fulton Caster. Love to get your thoughts, Chiefs fans. What are you going to do if you are Brett Veach? Very simple. Are you extending Orlando Brown, letting him walk, trading him? What are you going to do? And right now, it sounds like it is either going to be sign him to a long-term deal or let him walk. We'll get to a little overreaction, proper reaction. We will talk some Royals baseball as right now the Royals are in action against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And right now, Brady Singer off to a tough start. Rojas and Longoria both getting hits. Royals 9-2, leading the Cactus League. I should have asked RJ Anderson if the winner of the Cactus League gets a trophy.
You should have. Didn't think about it till too late.
I'm bummed. I am bummed.
Did a little trophy like this tall.
Fulton is, it's about an 8-inch tall trophy is what Fulton is holding.
And give or take.
Yeah.
For those of you not watching on the YouTube live stream.
Yeah.
Live stream can see the distance between my hands here. The angle's not great. A little turn there. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts. 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Go to Sports on 580. Go to YouTube. Very simple, very easy. Check us out, 580wibw.com. So Royals baseball in action right now, but that is not what Chiefs Kingdom is discussing right now. It is the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to franchise tag Orlando Brown. Now, Mike Garofalo or Garofolo, I forget.
it was Garofalo.
Garofalo went on NFL Network and he had this to say about the latest update from one, the Chiefs side or Orlando Brown side. But here is what Mike Garofalo had to say.
Take two, operator error, didn't plug in the mic. Very technical reason why you couldn't hear me before the break. Okay, the Chiefs will not use the franchise tag on left tackle Orlando Brown. Kind of a surprise here. A lot of folks thought maybe that would be at least a placeholder for these sides to work out a deal, but the Chiefs telling Brown and his agents today, the number's just too high. Now, it would have been around $20 million. It would have been a 120% increase from last year when he got the first tag at 16 and change. They offered him a deal somewhere around 18 on average last year to try to get it done. Didn't get it done. They were frustrated that they weren't able to come to an agreement. So barring some kind of extension from the Chiefs to Orlando Brown in the next week, which seems unlikely right now, given that they value him below that second tag, the Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning left tackle is headed toward free agency. And I expect him to have a number of suitors. Look, he's not like that elite left tackle out there, but he's a guy who just plays winning football, played on the right side in Baltimore, proved he could move to the left side in Kansas City. I expect multiple suitors for Orlando Brown in free agency next week.
Yeah. So that is from NFL Network's Mike Garofalo. So I have been saying this for quite some time. I said, I don't know if the Chiefs are going to put all their eggs into the Orlando Brown basket.
Credit to Jake. He did do this. He was first.
The whole entire goal to me for Brett Veach is if you spend $20 million on Orlando Brown, your cap is completely, you have to be under the cap right away.
Mm.
But a part of me says, they're like, yeah, we can find ways to get under the cap at 20 million. We can. We're not going to. We don't want to do that right now. I think they look at Orlando Brown as a good left tackle. But as you heard, he's not a great left tackle, but he's a good left tackle. But a good left tackle is not $23 million a year. That's a great left tackle. And I think this is exactly what Orlando Brown's agent wants, because the whole goal and everything, get to free agency. Because if you get to free agency, people will overpay.
Mm-hmm.
The two most prime examples that I can that I can put out there is Christian Kirk at wide receiver. You don't know what the market is going to be. There might be somebody who falls in love with you and will move heaven and earth to sign you, and they did. They did. Christian Kirk, his contract, I want to make sure. And when I look at contract, I look specifically at cap hits. I want to know what it's going to cost you for the cap. How are they maneuvering that? How are they saving money? What is your cap hit if you are on for the Chiefs? You know, what's going to be the cap hit for Derek Carr for every single year? Can you get out of it early? Can you not? Well, I can tell you this right now. The cap hit for Christian Kirk was $7 million this year. That's a hell of a deal. $7 million, Christian Kirk. This coming year, his cap hit is $23 million.
Hillbilly.
Is Christian Kirk worth $23 million?
Not to me.
I don't think so either. His cap hit in 2024 is $21 million, but a dead cap of 10. So he's probably on the Jaguars next year. And then in 2025, his cap hit is $21 million, but a dead cap of 5. So he will not be playing, at least under this contract, in 2025.
No, probably not.
So that's what you're looking at. The Chiefs don't look at Orlando Brown this way, it looks like, as of right now. They think he's maybe worth $16 to $17 million. Or they think that they can find somebody else on free agency, or another team is going to cut a player that they think they can get cheaper. Just like we talked about on Friday. Bud Dupree, Tennessee Titan defensive end, he got cut. Cap casualty, cap savings. Bud Dupree's cap was $21 million. Is Bud Dupree worth $21 million to the cap? No, his production says no. Is he worth $10 million to the cap? If I'm the Chiefs, I think that's an option you can go to, and we talked about that. Bud Dupree, big, strong defensive end. Now, hasn't played in the scheme that the Chiefs have played in, as you alluded to. But if you're big and strong, can get to the quarterback, and feel like you can get there in a lot of different ways. So that is one thing that they can do. Or they look at this draft and they say, we feel like we have someone in the draft. Is it a little scary to not have somebody reliable at left tackle for Patrick Mahomes? Sure is. Yes, it is scary. That's why the Chiefs are in a tough spot. Orlando Brown has all the leverage.
Yeah, he does.
Has all the leverage because he knows he's going to get paid $20 million this year, $20 million to the cap, and then the Chiefs there will be no chance. If the Chiefs tag Orlando Brown, I promise you, he's not even going to try to sign a long-term deal. He's going to say, I'm going to play this 1 year. I'm going to play well. Then you have nothing Nothing. And everybody else knows that too. Everybody else knows that you have no leverage. So why would I try it? Why would I give up a pick when I can sign Orlando Brown? Because he's going to be a free agent.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this is just the Chiefs knew that they were going to end up tagging Orlando Brown last year, and that was going to be it. And if I'm Orlando Brown's agent, you do the same thing. The whole goal is to get free agency. So if you're Orlando Brown, of course you're going to say, I want $150 million guaranteed. And the Chiefs are going to be like, no. And they're going to be like, fine. Then we'll play on the tag and then we'll get it next year. And so the Chiefs are stuck. And that's why the Chiefs are like, well, we might just have to move on. It is what it is. And a sign and trade might not happen because no one was going to be like, yeah, we're willing to give up X amount of money. I've been saying from the very beginning, if the Chiefs can get 80% of Orlando Brown, which is a B, right? Low B, for a third of the price. If you can get 80% of Orlando Brown for $10 million, I think the Chiefs would do that. And then I think whether it be free agency or the draft, and maybe with what has gone on and what they're hearing and the scouting and everything, this draft is heavy on quarterbacks. There's going to be 5 quarterbacks taken. 5? 4. Richardson, Stroud,
4 for sure.
Young, Levis. So you got 4 there.
Yeah, probably 4.
Okay. You've got 4 there. You're going to have at least 4 wide receivers go. Because wide receivers they're going to get taken. Bunch of defensive linemen who are going to go. Maybe because of all the other better players that are out there, that maybe an O lineman will fall in the draft. Or will fall low enough that the Chiefs are willing to give up a couple picks to go get their guy like they did against Trent McDuffie. If this is the Chiefs, and we've seen this from the Chiefs last year, and we've seen it, going forward, that the Chiefs are not going to they're not going to pull a Christian Kirk or a Jacksonville Jaguar. They're not going to pull a Dallas Cowboy and tag Tony Pollard. Here's what we think you are worth. We are not going to put ourselves in that position. And how do we know that the Chiefs are thinking ahead? The Chiefs are not thinking about 2023. The Chiefs are thinking about 24, 25, and 26. And how do we know that? Because of what we learned about how they were going about Mahomes' contract. The day that the Chiefs traded up and got Patrick Mahomes was the day that they started thinking, how can we extend him? And he hadn't even gone to OTAs as a rookie. The Chiefs are not thinking 2023. They're thinking 2028 or 25, 26. Let me ask you this, Fulton. Is this a move that they think, we think Lucas Niang will get it together? We think Darian Kennard can get it together. We think we can re-sign Andrew Wiley. Let me ask you this. If you re-sign Andrew Wiley to a $10 million a year average, right? And he's your right tackle, do you feel comfortable with Andrew Wiley at right tackle? Yes or no?
I'm not 100% comfortable with that.
You're not?
I'm not. Because
what made you uncomfortable with what he did this year? Was he not good?
Right side versus left side is different.
No. I'm not talking about left side. I'm talking about right side.
Right side, I'm cool with it.
So
right side, I'm totally cool.
So you are cool with...
If Andrew Wiley's my right tackle, I'm cool with it.
You're cool with that one?
Yep, 100%.
Let it
Right
ride.
side Andrew Wiley. If the price is right, I want Andrew Wiley back. He's my top pick for right tackle.
Okay.
If that money works, and you're because he also should not demand a lot. But if that money works, bring Andrew Wiley back to play the right side. Yeah, 100%.
So there, you've got 4 of your 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Maybe you look at Joe Tooney and say, hey, we're going to help you out, man. And whoever you sign on the left side. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got 4 of 5 offensive linemen who you feel so strong about that you feel Creed is good, Tooney is good, and Trey Smith and Andrew Wiley or whoever it is at the right side, you feel good about that. And you got 4 guys that you're ready to go to battle with. Can the Chiefs scheme it up? Can the Chiefs get 80% of Orlando Brown? 80% of Orlando Brown to me is an average player. Because Orlando Brown is above average. I have been known, I wouldn't consider myself an Orlando Brown hater. I would consider myself an Orlando Brown. He's what he is.
Yeah.
Would he have been worthy? And we've gone back and forth about Orlando Brown. We have. If they think Orlando Brown is above average and give him above average money, perfect.
Yeah.
Bring him in. If they don't think Orlando Brown is worth what Orlando Brown is asking for, I don't want them to pay Orlando Brown. That's how you get bad. That's how you end up with Kirk Cousins. That's how you end up with Christian Kirk. Bad contracts are, you could argue bad contracts are the most important reason for a team and their roster being what it is. More so than the draft. Draft is number 1 because look what the Chiefs did with the draft. It's number 1. Yeah. But why did John Dorsey get canned? He drafted incredible. That man drafted Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill. Man, that dude is hit on Hall of Famers. But that man was awful with the cap and terrible with extensions. That's why he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Is there that guy out there? I get where the Chiefs are going, and I'm understanding of that. And maybe this opens up the opportunity to now. All right, let's look at the other way. Let's look at they don't sign Orlando Brown. All right. Now you free up cap space with Chris Jones, with Frank Clark, and you've got $30 million to spend on whoever you want to. That is some operating room.
Yeah.
From the text line, Brown should have signed last year. I say let him walk. Brown didn't think he was given enough. And Brown might have played this perfectly.
Yeah.
If Orlando Brown gets to free agency, I hate to say this, but his agent did his job. If Orlando Brown gets to free agency, and maybe this was the play all along for Orlando Brown. This is what we're asking for in the offseason. This is what we're asking for in the offseason. The Chiefs don't have another option at left tackle right now, so they're going to tag him. Then we have all the leverage. Then we're going to ask for even more, because they knew that the Chiefs weren't going to do it. And the whole goal, if you are an NFL player, is to get to free agency is if you are an elite guy. Perfect examples. Christian Kirk, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was essentially a free agent because the Texans were willing to trade whatever. And the Browns gave him fully guaranteed contract. Look what Trent Williams got. If you can get to free agency, people overpay. So I say that Orlando Brown's agent, if he doesn't get an extension done, because they still can, and maybe this is, the Chiefs saying, look, if you want to be a Chief, this is what we're offering you. Good luck with the Bears. Have fun, playing on a mediocre franchise.
Yeah. He has to make decisions.
I mean, I understand why Orlando Brown is doing this.
No, I totally get it.
And I get why the Chiefs are doing it, because I was not fully sold on giving him a giant load of money.
No. Understandable. It's just now what would be your next step?
What's the next step?
Yeah.
We might have to take some time to think about what is the next step at left tackle. What do you do?
Because I'm already starting to, kind of cycle through some draft stuff here, and there's some good tackles in the draft, but it's not as deep as you would like it to be. And the best ones who could be day one starters, you're going to have to move up to get them. And I mean, really move. And that takes a lot of work. But is a Mahomesian move to get one of the top 2 tackles in Skoronski or Paris Johnson on the board? Technically is. Could Brett Veach try and move up 17, 18 spots and get his offensive tackle? He could. But is that the capital you give up for an offensive lineman versus a franchise quarterback? I don't know. I am very interested now to see what the Chiefs' moves are. Because this has probably been the biggest indicator that they are very open to a life without Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
And then it comes into what's plan B? What is plan B?
Little update for you. Brady Singer. He got out of a jam in the first inning, allowed 2 hits. He has now gone 2 innings, struck out 5. Or, beg your pardon, struck out 4. And the Chiefs play in the NFL. I'm talking about the Royals, who play in Major League Baseball. Your boy, Michael Massey, just hit a solo home run.
That's your starting second baseman, Michael Massey.
Alrighty, who's your you got Max Castillo as your boy. All right.
Subject to change, but yeah, for now.
For now, okay, because you can only have one. Alrighty. Is it Isbell? Is it Massey? Who is it?
You always make me pick, man. I can't just have multiple dudes that I love.
No, you cannot. You got to ride with one of them. Otherwise, you're one of them people who are like, I'm a Yankees fan and a Red Sox fan.
No, this is entirely different. I can love multiple prospects on this team and think multiple players are going to be good. I'm allowed.
You can only.
That's fine.
No, then you're not a ride or dyer, man. You're just a social giver.
They're all at different positions.
No.
It's entirely fine.
No, you cannot do that. No. We've already established the rules. Precedent has been set.
Those are your rules and your precedents, might I add. I completely disagree with them.
Who are we rolling
as
with?
the leader of the Kyle Isbell fan club, I have to stay on that horse until it falls off.
All right. Damn, Kyle, I'm sorry. Good for you, Michael.
No. We've learned this, though. No, it's bad when I'm behind you as a pitcher. It's good for hitters.
Correct.
I've hit on MJ. I've hit on Vinny. I've hit on Michael Massey. Nick Lofton's looking good.
Hold on a minute. Don't tell me you've hit on Michael Massey. He got like 8 at-bats last year. Come on.
That a little early to say I hit on Michael Massey. Point still stands, though. I have been the first in this sports talk room on a lot of these Royals hitters and told you guys in advance.
No,
I'm telling you.
You are correct. You've been on the MJ train a while, and
had to fight people off of the just trade MJ. Selvey can catch for forever. I'm like, no.
And then same thing with Vinny P. So no,
you guys were still on Prado. It's like, yeah, look at Vinny Pasquantino.
All right, well, so
it's a good thing for Kyle that I'm behind.
Okay, so we're
Max Castillo. That's a bad sign.
So we're rolling with Isbell.
I got Kyle.
Okay, all right.
Coming up to backfire.
Coming up next, a little overreaction, proper reaction. The Big 12 is going to get 7 teams in the dance. KU, Texas, K-State, Baylor, Iowa State, TCU, and West Virginia. Now, Oklahoma State, in order to get in the dance, going to have to beat Oklahoma and then beat Texas.
Yeah. That might be enough.
And then if they get to the finals, which I don't know if any team has
Gone from first game to finals.
finals.
I don't know.
think they have.
I'd be shocked if someone has.
I don't think they have.
I don't know how many teams have gone from first game to winning against the one or the two.
TCU did that against KU the other year, didn't it?
I think. I remember TCU beating KU in Kansas City because I was there calling the game for KU. TCU had been a playing team this year. KU would have been third that year. So yeah, no, that's happened once. I think it's happened a couple of times, but I don't even know if that's happened that often. That had to have been a play-in. TCU had to have won a play-in game. There's no way KU was the 3 seed that year.
Yeah, I got it right here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Here you go. I thought it was 2017, and it was. So
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, that was the Frank Mason team.
TCU was the
Like
8
86 to 83?
seed.
Or am I really off?
86 to 83?
Yeah, that's what I
pretty
guessed.
close. TCU 85, KU 82.
Wow, I have a good memory. I remember that game because
Yeah.
KU was close to be able to win it late. Broadcast with a friend of mine in college, and we were doing it up in one of the really high boxes in Kansas City.
Yep.
And yeah, I remember because we tried to dissect what KU would do. Then I saw the 3 miss. I was like, oh man, this sucks. I think, if I remember correctly, it's the first KU game I called for KU for our student station that KU lost.
Good job.
Because they don't lose a lot of games now in Fieldhouse, which is when we do a bunch of them.
This wasn't Allen Fieldhouse.
I know it was Kansas
Yeah,
City.
yeah.
It's like that's why
Yeah,
it had taken kind of that long.
82.
Yeah.
So, but my overreaction, proper reaction. The Big 12 will get over half, so 4 teams to the second weekend.
Oh boy. I'm going to say proper reaction. I think KU makes the second weekend. I think K-State makes the second weekend. I think Baylor makes the second weekend. And I think Texas makes the second weekend.
I think Baylor makes the second weekend.
I don't
They
feel great about
They
that.
can't defend anyone.
I don't feel great about that. But as we've said numerous times, of course, defense is important in March. It is. Guard play makes the world go round in March. The best teams that usually can get a win in March and make decent runs in March are because they have great guard play.
Correct.
What does Baylor do better than damn near anyone else in this conference?
Guard play,
They have 3 fantastic guards.
which helps. But
I don't disagree. They can't defend a soul.
they're like the Dallas Mavericks now. great. You've got Luka and you've got Kyrie Irving. Congratulations. They have to go for 40 each to win because they give up 40.
So I get it. I think Baylor can get there. Now, I think Baylor's ceiling might be Sweet 16 entirely because they just, unless they somehow in a small NCAA tournament stretch figure out how to guard, they're not making past Sweet 16. But I think because Baylor's going to probably be a 2 or 3. What are they? What Lenardi have them at the latest?
Who?
Baylor. Where do you have Baylor at? I think they were a 2 in his latest one today.
No, they're not a 2.
I'm pulling it up. We're gonna see where they are. I could be wrong. I could easily be wrong. I don't know where Baylor is. Baylor's a 2.
How is Baylor a 2?
Got some good wins.
So does K-State.
I don't disagree.
How does he got Baylor a 2? And Baylor just lost at home to Iowa State.
Brother,
Baylor got
I don't know, man.
Swept by K-State.
I know. We can fight. Listen, Lenardi also usually doesn't get seats right. Sometimes. That being said, so let's say Baylor, in this scenario, Baylor to get to the second weekend has to beat Kennesaw State and then either NC State or Texas A&M. Baylor can do that. Because A&M is good enough to beat a team like Alabama, but A&M also can crap the bed. So, that's my thing on Baylor. They're the least confident of that foursome I named, but I think their guard play can get them to the second weekend. Outside of that, though, I think they hit a wall because I've never seen a Scott Drew team that just can't defend like this. They can't figure it out, and it's crazy. Thanks for the news today. Overreaction, proper reaction. The Chiefs' starting left tackle, Week 1, 2023, will be a rookie.
Overreaction. They're going to figure out something.
Okay.
It ain't going to be a rookie.
That's where I lean, but I wouldn't be bad Brett Veach to go real crazy and nab somebody and make it work. But who knows? Maybe Darian Kennard all of a sudden pops off and he's a left tackle next year. Not going to happen, but
Darian Kennard.
Man, I felt so good about him when they drafted and got him late. I was like, man, that's a great pull. He just underwhelmed all training camp.
Lucas Niang. Prince Tega Wanogo.
Lord. I'd rather put Wiley at the left and try one of those guys at right. That's what I'd rather try.
Who else they got up front?
You've named it. I don't know if they have any other offensive tackles they could.
No, the main ones on the active roster were Allegretti, Wanogo, Kennard, and Niang.
Yeah.
Oh, Allegretti's a free agent. We're not trying to bring back Nick Allegretti.
If the money's right, bring him back. He's a good backup for all three interior spots.
Who's their practice squad? Okay. Well,
yeah.
The only there are two offensive linemen on their reserve list right now. And that is Mike Caliendo and Austin Ryder.
Is Mike Caliendo related to Frank?
I don't know. But it doesn't matter because he didn't play left tackle. Mike nor Frank.
See Frank Caliendo playing left tackle.
Correct.
That'd be really funny to me.
No, that would not be funny.
Hilarious.
Do you think Patrick Mahomes knows about all this?
Is the sky blue? Yes, he's acutely aware of what's happening.
No.
100%. Brett Veach ain't making moves anymore without making sure QB1 knows what's going on. Who knows? Maybe his Pat's being called to Orlando telling him, hey, I will give you a small loan to make up the gaps. It's your big ass back here on this team. Trav and I will get together. We'll get you something nice.
we will discuss this. I'm excited to digest this.
Yeah.
For 21 hours, and when we come back tomorrow at noon, I'll have a better understanding of this. But what I gather here is that they didn't get enough in a sign and trade.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet that's what probably they were wanting to do. Do a sign and trade, get a second, take that second and their first, package that, and go get a guard or go get someone as a free agent or as a draft.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did last year. Packaged all those draft picks they got for Tyreek Hill, went and got Young.
Yeah.
That's what I wonder. Well, we shopped them around. Nobody seems to want to get that, which makes me wonder if Orlando Brown's not going to get the money that he's thinking he's going to get.
Yeah, there's it's a big game of chicken essentially is being played. But I mean, maybe Orlando thinks he'll get more, and the league goes, "No, dude, the Chiefs are right in line with what your value is." And then he goes, "Well, Kansas City, I'm home," which could happen.
It could.
It's not off the board.
Coming up, we will finish this Monday off. Wow, a lot of news happening today. A lot of news. We'll get to a little hoops coming up here. Finish this off on Mic'd Up. yet today because there's been a lot of things going on. Did you watch Travis Kelce on Saturday Night Live?
No.
You didn't?
Nope.
Why not?
I was late doing other things, tired from the day. Didn't want to watch it at 10:30 or whatever it was.
You didn't DVR it?
No. Means I don't have a DVR. Also, if I'm going to rewatch it, I just will go to Peacock and watch the episode when it's posted to Peacock.
You didn't do that?
No.
I thought he did well.
That's what I've heard.
Crushed the monologue, which is very difficult to do.
Mm.
Thought the monologue was good. I thought he did well. I thought the skits and the writing was not great.
Mm-hmm.
There were some funny stuff. Jason Kelce made an appearance. They did not use the funniest one. They didn't put out there. It was a pre-recorded sketch, and they didn't use it. They cut it, but you can watch that on social media. It's hilarious. I thought there were some good parts about what Kelce did. You could tell he cracked up a few times when he's doing some of the skits, which I think that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the skits, though, I was just like, that's where you went. That's not great. But I thought he did well. I think some Chiefs players are going to have some fun with Travis Kelce.
Good.
With some of his outfits and the hairstyles. A Sucre audible will be had. I think that'll be good. You need to check it out, though.
I might rewatch some of the skits.
What else you got going on? What do you got going on tonight?
It's Monday, Jake.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say something really inappropriate, but I caught myself.
Wow.
I did not.
You guys see how Jake bullies me on this show? The listeners here, do you see what Jake does?
Did I say it? I did not. I refrained from.
Just a man trying to live his life, enjoy himself.
I'm just saying,
wind down from the day.
This is, Travis Kelce on SNL, something that we were going to talk about. Figured you might have watched it. Did you watch at least the one where Creed Humphrey makes an appearance, the cut one?
Nope.
Didn't even watch. That took 2 minutes.
That's what I tweeted out.
I
just didn't put it on.
That's 2 minutes.
I might,
you ain't
peruse those today.
You ain't got 2 minutes? That was really funny.
I do. I just didn't think about it.
Jason Kelce's in it. Creed Humphrey's in it. Oh, that was good. That one. It's essentially the United Way sketch for Peyton Manning. It's just for bigger people.
See, I will gladly even watch. Be more interested in watching it now.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Now that you've told me it's very similar to at least the concept, I'll watch it now. Probably.
Wow! Wait a minute! Whoa! Just wait. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Well, I just saw it says here, Frank Clark's release from the Chiefs will leave behind $7.67 million of dead cap, freeing up $21 million of space. Did they cut Frank Clark? Was that
Adam Schefter has reported this? Chiefs and Frank Clark's agent Eric Burkhart were unable to find common ground on a reworked deal during several conversations at the combine, and the expectation is now that Kansas City will release Clark. So they tried to rework the deal, could not find common ground. Clark will, it seems, be released.
So they still have that $20 million cap hit that they can use
in theory
on Orlando Brown.
In theory. They want a long-term deal done, and so they're going to pressure him into doing it. They're not going to give him an out for it to be only 1 year.
1 year? There's not a bad 1 year deal.
Not usually, but the Chiefs want a long-term solution at left tackle. And you don't get that with 1 year deals.
And you ain't going to get that next year because you have no leverage.
Nope.
Because he will be a free agent.
The Chiefs want a long-term deal. The way to do that is to not use the tag. You have the risk factor of you are no longer his exclusive negotiating party next week, if you can't reach a deal by next week. But you do have the leverage of if you're signing with us, you're signing for multiple years.
Frank Clark
So-
earned $77 million in 4 seasons with the Chiefs.
Good for Frank.
Good for the Chiefs. You want to know why?
Got 2 rings out of it? Okay. Took me a minute. I thought that was going to be very like Frank Clark specific. And I was like, wait, why is that good for the Chiefs on Frank Clark specific? What the heck? And then quickly I was like, oh, no, we got 2 rings out of it. Of course.
2 rings.
I thought you were going to go so Frank Clark narrowed on that that I didn't immediately make that connection. I was like, oh, wait, yeah, that's where Jake's going with this. I got you.
How about that? Chiefs don't plan on using a franchise tag on Orlando Brown, and they're cutting Frank Clark. Well, I mean, cutting Frank Clark's not a huge surprise. Now,
No.
What they could do is they still could sign Frank
Yeah,
Clark.
just because they're cutting Frank Clark does not mean it's impossible for him to come back. When you cut a guy, that doesn't mean, oh, well, can't sign him again now. It just means they are free to do whatever they want, which includes coming back, but also includes signing with 31 other teams. So, for Frank, it's whatever he wants to end up doing. But no, this is exactly what I thought they would do. You can't have Frank Clark play on a $28 million cap hit.
No. Who'd you rather have, Frank Clark or Bud Dupree?
I gotta go Frank. He knows the system. I know he can play well.
Mm-hmm.
My big question about Dupree, he's never been a hand in the dirt 4-3 defensive end. He's played in 3-4 systems. His 2 systems are Pittsburgh and Tennessee. Those are 3-4 systems. So he's been a more stand-up, rush outside linebacker. That is a different role. And so if you're making me pick, and also I think, maybe Frank gets cheaper. I don't know, but I know what Frank, it goes back to my classic debate of known versus unknown commodity. I know what I'm getting with Frank. I'm getting average production out of a guy who will be a good teammate and he's liked in the locker room. Yeah. And when the playoff comes around, becomes some, incarnate of every great pass rusher ever.
Turns into Bruce Smith.
Apparently, yeah, he just turns into Bruce Smith. So, yeah, I take that over Bud Dupree.
Coming up, we will get to the mic drop, and then we'll hand it off to 580 Sports Talk. Alrighty, Fulton, what do you got for your mic drop?
I want to thank the NFL World for finally giving us some breaking news during our section of the show instead of every other part of it today. No, in all reality, I'm now very intrigued at what the Chiefs can do at left tackle. There are a lot of options on the board. They're intriguing. None of them I would call slam dunk home run choices, but Brett Veach has worked magic before. He has earned the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just fascinated to see what the Chiefs do going forward, because this offseason just got a lot more interesting.
My mic drop that we will get to, the Royals are 9-2, and I am not going to let them sucker me in due to a successful spring training. Am I hopeful? Yes. My expectations, though, have not changed at all. Right now, though, they're up 3-0 against the Diamondbacks. Brady Singer went 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 5 Ks. Coming up, we got 580 Sports Talk. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon.
You wash your